Secrets, if you really look at yourself, you would be speechless. What happened to being doctors and teachers? What happened to being your brother's keeper? Nowadays, kids.
This is Jocelyn Marie, the owner of Hemp Ice Factory and the creator of the dopest frozen treat you'll ever eat. And you are tuned into my favorite, BandClap TV.
Activate.
Yo, this is Ludacris.
What's going on? This is Drake.
It's Tiger Young Money Zone.
It's your boy Wiz Khalifa, man.
This is Big Sean.
Yo, what's up, y'all? This is Kanye West.
It's Jay-Z. Yo, this is your boy Weezy.
You're in the mix with the DJ always banging the real hip-hop. DJ
BandClap.
I wanna bring them to your body. Ooh, you'll be crazy, but I think I found the love of my life. Let's go. Have you ever felt warm on a cold, cold night? How it hit you when you least expect it? And you can't reflect it. That crazy little tingling feeling, baby, you just got.
Oh, it ain't no room for guessing. No more than emotionally invested. Showing you all my imperfections. Oh, if I let you, don't take me for granted. Yeah, if I'm worth more than you could manage, yeah. Open with me, oh, we could be honest. Closer to me, oh, giving me solace. Promise that you won't let me fall. Holding me tight, loving me right, giving me life, all like you could be. Telling me lies, making me cry, wasting my time the whole time, so just be careful what you take for granted, yeah. Cause with me, no, you could do damage. You could do damage. You do damage. You do damage. You do damage.
Okay, L-O-V-E ... Why I gotta try so hard? Why I gotta lie? Because I'm prideful and don't like a lot. L-O-V-E ... Why you like to fight so much? Why you follow her? He brought that comment on, that's fine as fuck. You don't want no title, cool. You don't get no title, love. Pedal to my side bitches. Now that's a vicious cycle, girl, you better, yeah. Would you rather love or just someone that like your pictures, yeah? Met you in the club, I don't expect you to stop hitting them. So hit me when you buzz, you know I'm buzzed, you know I'm with it. Your heart now, man, I'm none, so we be gone, but I won't finish, yeah. Met a lot of women, got a lot of niggas, but everybody full of shit. That's why we back and forth again. My heart severely scorned, and you the cause of it. Goodbye, my baby, y'all abandon you. That's when you forced to care. L-O-V-E ... Why you gotta make this hard? Funny how the quiet ones do nada till they do a lot.
For me, oh baby, I call it. Oh, we could be whatever you want, call it. Promise that you won't let me fall. Holding me tight, loving me right, giving me life, all night you could be. Telling me lies, making me cry, wasting my time the whole time, so just be careful what you take for granted, yeah. Cause with me, no, you could do damage. You could do damage. You could do damage. Oh, you could do damage. No, you could do damage. Worry about it, I'm putting pressure. You'll only get me if I let you. No, what you're doing is just for pleasure. Either learn me or I'm a lesson. Going on. If you want me, don't take me for granted. Yeah, if I'm worth more than you could manage, baby. Oh, you're falling for me. Oh, baby, I call it. Oh, we could be whatever you want, call it. Promise that you won't let me fall. Holding me tight, loving me right, giving me life, all night you could be. Telling me lies, making me cry, wasting my time the whole time, so just be careful what you take for granted, yeah. Cause with me, no, you could do damage. You could do damage. You could do damage. Oh, you could do damage. promise that you won't let me fall. Holding me tight, loving me right, giving me life all night. You could be telling me lies, making me cry, wasting my time the whole time. So just be careful what you take for granted. Yeah. Cause with me, no, you could do damage. You could do damage. You could do damage.
Yo, what is poppin'? Before the video starts, I just want to let you all know that I give readings, just like the ones that you see every Monday on my channel. I give on point Orisha Tarot card readings for singles and also for couples. I also do natal chart consultations. My Everything is Everything reading is by far my bestseller. If you want to check out any of these services, please visit my website at www.bandclaptv.com. And also, when you go to that website and you scroll down, you will see a link to go to my shadow work class. In this time that we're in right now, shadow work is very, very important. Getting to know yourself, your inner child, really knowing who you are. All of these things are extremely important. And I have a very, very informative self-paced course. Shout out to Spiritual Ascension University and Melanie the Spirit Doula for allowing me to be able to give you all this very, very priceless course, if I do say so myself. So again, if you want to check these things out, go to my website, www.bandclaptv.com. All right, on with for a little minute, because it's a lot of things that I really want to really touch on, and we're getting to that point where, you know, it's gonna be the anniversary of my Shango and his 3 wives episode, which was like one of the first podcasts that I ever did. So it's like I'm returning back to when I first did the podcast about Shango and his 3 wives. And I just want to delve a little bit deeper when it comes to that, because, you know, I know some people may have some they may have some questions or some skepticisms or some you know, confusion when it comes to these, because we know that soulmates and twin flames, they come into our lives in very, very in different times, you know, and in a lot of cases we meet our soulmate before we meet our twin flame. And depending on how things go with the soulmate, that is going to determine whether you meet your twin flame in this life or not. You know, some of us, we go through these lifetimes without even coming across our twin flame. So I'm gonna definitely talk about that some more. When we talk about our soul family, because your soul mate comes from your soul family. And I've heard people like Dolo the Pilot Man, you know, he says my soul group. Melanie the Spirit Doula, she says soul family. That's where I got it from, because I don't really have a like a name for it. So soul family just sounds right. It just sounds right. So I just went with soul family. But you hear a lot of people say soul family, but what is the real definition of your soul family? You know, because you hear people say it all the time. And it can be very confusing when you think about your soulmate and your twin flame. So soul family represents the people who you've connected with on a really deep level, either in past lifetimes or in past planes of existence. Let me say it again. Your soul family represents people that you've deeply connected with, either from a past life or past lives, or from past planes of existence. And I'm going to explain what I mean when I say planes of existence, because those are they could be two different things, but it can kind of be the same thing too. Because when we talk about planes of existence, I mean from a planetary situation. So I'm gonna explain about the past lives, because that's the one that that most people run into. And I know me, as soon as I got on my spiritual journey and I got on, I started putting myself out there, talking about my spiritual journey and stuff like that, I started to run across a lot of soul family members. I started to run across a lot of women that I know that I've been with in past lifetimes. And I know because I've had very, very vivid dreams about said person. But the only difference is, since it's a different lifetime, you're not going to look exactly like you look in this lifetime. But depending on the things that you went through in your South Node and all of that, because South Node in your natal chart represents past lifetimes and stuff like that. So due to that, you may not look the exact same as you looked in your past life, but energetically and mentally and psychologically, we carry a lot of things from our past lives into our current reality, because we're interdimensional and stuff like that. And when somebody is your soul family, that's a really, really deep type of connection. And if somebody is your soul family because you might be conversing with somebody from a different walk of life than you or all of that. And just for some reason, when you connect with this person, it just seems like you've met this person before. It seems like it's like you have this in your mind, like, I feel like I met you before. Have y'all ever had that? Somebody just hit you up out the blue, or somebody hit you up in the DMs, or hit you up in the email, or say you walk in somewhere and you just instantly strike up a conversation with a random person and y'all end up talking for hours, and it's like the energy exchange while y'all are talking and stuff like that. The energy exchange, it feels like we're making up for lost time. It don't seem like I'm getting to know you for the first time. It feels like we're making up for lost time. It's a difference. Because, when you meet somebody for the first time, whether it's in a, you're meeting somebody of the opposite sex, or you're meeting somebody, just to be friends or something like that. Depending on how you was raised up, and depending on the interpersonal skills that you've learned, and depending on the environment that you come from and all of that, you're going to put up a wall, whether it's like a small wall, or a big wall. But, you know, when we meet new people, we put up a wall. You know, that's no question. That's a no-brainer. But with this particular person, you don't put up the wall. It's like the wall doesn't come up, because even in your energetic field, you know, you just feel like this person is safe. Like, nah, like I don't need to put up a wall for this person, because I just feel like I just don't need to. You know, I don't feel like this person is going to harm me in any type of way. I don't feel like this person is going to manipulate me in any type of way. You know, I just feel so comfortable around this person. You know, and that's how it feels when you're with your soul family. You know, that's how it feels. And when we talk about your soul family, that's when we start talking about stuff like karma and stuff like that, because all of that stuff intertwines with your soul family. Now, unless, like, if you're really, really spiritually enlightened to the point where you know who the person is, then you'll be able to gauge why is this person showing back up in your reality. You'll be able to gauge that. So, for example, with me, when I first got into my spiritual journey, well, before I got into my spiritual journey, and I was with my ex, you know, before I got into my spiritual journey, I would say this was like 2015, around that time. I knew that my ex was a member of my soul family. And the reason why I know that, because me and her both had Virgo moons, and we were soul mates. So that's the other part that I want to talk about. When you have a connection from a singular plane of existence, I'm gonna say it like that. Because when we talk about these planets, you know, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Neptune, Pluto, you know, Uranus. When you talk about these planets on a, I'm trying to think of the right word, on a, I guess on an interdimensional type of level. When you talk about these planets on a interdimensional type of level, we're not really talking about the balls of whatever that NASA is telling you about that's in the sky. You know, when we're talking about astrology and stuff like that, when we're talking about astrology and stuff like that, it's like I say, it's a slippery slope. You know, that's the difference between astrology and astronomy. You know, astronomy, you know, you're looking at you're studying the stars and you're studying stuff like that. You're studying the planets as far as their placement in the universe and all that type of stuff. But when we're talking about astrology, we're talking about when we're talking about your natal chart, we're talking about how these planets or how these planes of existence is going to work in our lives, because we're interdimensional beings, you know. So that's something that a lot of people can kind of mix that up. Because if I tell you something like, before I was on Earth, before I came here to Earth, first the last planet that I was on before I came to Earth was Mercury. That's where I was at. Now, if I just say it like that, you might think that I'm gone loony. You would think that I'm gone crazy. If you're thinking about it in terms of astronomy. Like, oh, so you mean to tell me that you was on, planet Mercury? But when you look at Mercury as a plane of consciousness, it's a different dimension from the dimension that we're in right now, because this is the 3D. So when you look at, the planes of existence, these are planes that are higher than this plane, this earthly plane that we're in. And when you were in these planes of existence, you also met other souls and had relationships and things like that before you came to Earth. So with that being said, these would represent people that you're just so, magically and, you're just so drawn and attracted to this person. And both of y'all got the same moon sign. And, from a emotional and, type of level like that, it's like y'all just click. You can understand where she's coming from if you're a guy. You can understand where he's coming from if you're a girl. And those type of bonds are very, very, they're interwoven and they're interconnected. I remember listening to a spiritualist. I forgot who it was, but they was talking about how we're all interconnected. I think it was Melanie. The spirit doula. She was talking about how we're all interconnected. And if we decide to sever one connection to somebody, that would in turn sever a connection on down the line or something like that, because we're all interconnected in some type of way. And spiritually, we're definitely like that because we all come from source. So when you talk about your soul family, your soul family have many, many different uses when it comes to your life here. Especially when you start meeting your soul family, you start meeting people that you just out of the blue just connect with while you're going on your spiritual journey. Those are the people that I'm talking about. And those type of people, when you talk about those type of people, these are people that they either come into your life to remind you of who you are, or they come into your life to teach you a lesson. Most times it's like a karmic lesson or something like that, especially when you get with a soul mate. And that's something that me looking back into my natal chart, that's one thing that I really started to kind of put the pieces together with that. Or lastly, a soulmate will come into your life to make sure that the stage that you're on, make sure that you're equipped for that stage. So when you get on this spiritual journey, you may end up running across karmic partners, and these karmic partners represent a plane of existence that you was in your south node, which means in your past lives and stuff like that. And this person, or this soulmate represents, have you learned from your mistakes in your past life, and are you ready to evolve into what you're supposed to be doing in your North Node, which is your current lesson, your current life path? Or are you going to regress and backslide back to your old way of thinking, your old way of the way you used to do in your past lives and stuff like that, the reason why y'all may or may not have worked out. So for my women out there, this soulmate connection, especially when you get on your stage 1, your Lilith stage, that Lilith stage, or even before you start going up the stages of enlightenment. Because a lot of times the soulmate or the soul family is what gets you on your path to enlightenment. In a lot of cases. At least that was in my case. So for a woman that's on that stage 1 and they're on that Lilith stage, you may run across, this guy, and this guy you may just feel like you feel like you've known him before. What's poppin', D Flemings? My Dr. BOA. Shout out to Dr. BOA. Shout out to D Flemings. As a woman, you may run across this guy, and on the inside, you might feel like, nah, I don't really think that I should be messing with this dude. But when you talk to him and when you're around him, it's like you just feel so comfortable. You just feel comfortable with this dude. And you don't know why. And you feel like, on the deep down, because you haven't went all the way in to your stages of enlightenment. You haven't went all the way in yet where your inner child is, sitting on your shoulder and pointing and telling you, no. That inner child is still like a small little faint voice. It's like a small faint little voice, or it might be a small little gut feeling that you might have. But since this soulmate partner was able to push your buttons and get you to marry them in a past life, those are things that guy is never going to forget. So when he run across you in this life, he's going to be able to sweep you off your feet again if you haven't learned your lesson from the past life. And how would you have learned your lesson from your past life? How would you have learned that if you haven't even started going on your stages of enlightenment? So you can't even identify who or what this person is just yet. And a lot of cases, since this person was like a past husband of yours, a past lover of yours, when it comes to women, we know that women are like water. And we know that water retains memory. And melanin does the same thing too. It retains memories, and it retains passions and pains and, all of that stuff. So yeah, the connection is going to be imminent. The connection is going to be imminent. But the thing about it is, since it's a soulmate connection, that means that in a lot of cases, when we talk about our soul family and our soulmates, in this type of sense, this is more of a karmic type of connection, which means that in this reality, you're supposed to be doing something different. You're supposed to be on a different path. You're supposed to be on a higher vibration. You're supposed to be on a higher type of life purpose. So if you was on that purpose, you would have understood that this person is only meant to deter you, either to deter you, or this person is only meant for you to, recognize who they are, be friendly, be nice, but keep it pushing and keep it moving, and not to engage yourself again in another affair with said soulmate. Because one thing that I'm starting to learn is our soul family are meant, like I said, our soul family is meant to remind us of the gods and the goddesses that we really are. That's what they're meant to do. And like I said, like I always say, you're not always are you going to be able to learn the lesson and all of that in this lifetime. So, you got people right now that are in very, very, good relationships with their soulmate, and it might be a situation where, you meet your soulmate and y'all just end up hitting it off, and, that might be the end of it. You might grow old with that person or something like that. But at the end of the day, your soulmate is meant to teach you a very, very important karmic lesson. And sometimes it may take a whole lifetime for you to learn that lesson. Or sometimes, sometimes the lesson is a short lesson. But if you don't understand that even though you got such a really, really deep connection to this soulmate, if you don't understand what the terms and conditions of that soulmate contract is, and it's time for that soulmate to leave, soulmate connections or karmic connections, they have, when the other person isn't ready to break up, and the other person knows that it's time to break up and stuff like that. And in a lot of cases, the universe would put different situations to break y'all up, if you can't realize what it is and do it on your own. And in those situations, the heartbreak that you get from losing your soulmate, it'll put you into a dark night of the soul, because that's what it's meant to do. That's what it's meant to do, and it's meant for you to evolve from the situation. And hopefully, this started to put you on that path to your enlightenment. Hopefully it puts you on that path. Some people, they don't make it out. Like I've been in situations with roommates and with past friends and stuff like that, and they ended up in a soulmate connection, and it backfired and it went bad because they didn't realize that soulmate was only meant to put them on the path that they were supposed to be on. It wasn't meant for them to last forever. But, they were so attached to that person, and the heartbreak was so bad that, it can lead you into a very dark road. I'm gonna say it like that, and depending on how strong you are, and when it comes to your heart and stuff like that, this could lead into some feats of depression, and depending on how severe sometimes it may even put you in a suicidal type of mindset, because you've connected with this person in past lifetimes so much that, you feel like this person is a part of you. And when you lose that soulmate, you feel like that you've lost a part of you. That's how you feel. So with my situation, when I got with my ex, I found out, through getting readings and stuff like that on into our relationship, that she was definitely a karmic partner of mine, because I would have these dreams of me in past relationships with her, where she was my wife or my girlfriend or something like that. And one way or another, the relationship didn't work. Whether I was with I had a girl on the side, or she had somebody on the side, or, whatever. It's just that every time that we linked up, we really, really loved each other. But either I ended up being stagnant and regressing, or she ended up being stagnant or regressing. But me being hard-headed, stubborn, unenlightened just yet, I just shook these things off as just bad dreams. Even though this was spirit really like trying to remind me, like, yo, this person isn't meant to be in your life, but for a certain time. So you're supposed to learn the lesson and move on, But like I said, I got caught up in the connection part, which was good and bad. It was good because, me connecting with her and, going on to this spiritual path with first the intentions of helping her out, I ended up finding myself. I ended up going on this path, and when that rabbit hole goes deep, it goes deep. Sure, I'm still in it. But on the flip side, when it came time for things to be, over, when it came time for things to be over, I had this mentality of, maybe I can have a certain energy and it'll transform her as well, and then maybe we could make it work in this lifetime. And that's when I learned the valuable lesson that I'm gonna share with y'all. And that lesson is, you can't go on somebody else's stages of enlightenment. Like I said, your soulmate, in a lot of cases, your soulmate is here to either remind you of who you really are, remind you of why you came here, remind you of why you chose to come back to be in this reality. With me learning all of this spiritual knowledge, I started to learn about the Orishas. I started to learn about Eshu and Oshun. I was learning a little bit about Oshun. And she was, like I said, her and Yemoya was the first two Orishas that showed themselves to me. And for a while, I literally transformed her into a version of Oshun. So much so to the point where we had twins. So much so to that happened, even though as I always, as I said, they didn't make it, but So I kind of broke the rules when it came to that, because I'm over here trying to change somebody that need to go on their own path. You know, we need to go our own separate ways so she can get on her own path, you know, and do her stages of enlightenment, you know, which she's doing right now, and she's doing really good. So, you know, that's what's up. I like good news like that. You know, she's doing really, really good. But at the time when me and her was together, you know, it was like a push and pull type of situation. Because I'm trying to turn her into something that, you know, she's not even ready to be just yet. And that's an issue that I'm seeing with a lot of my homies, you know, with a lot of guys that I do readings with and stuff like that. You know, that's something that a lot of people, they struggle with that. So when it was finally time to break things off, you know, me on an outward level, you know, I knew it was time. You know, I felt that it was time, you know, I knew it was time and stuff like that. But on a inner type of level, you know, I'm the baby Eshu and she was the baby Oshun. So on an inner child type of level, because, you know, our inner children, they don't know about things like breakups and relationships and all of that type of stuff. You know, it's kind of like when you got a child and then your child, you know, falls for the neighbor's child, and they playing and all that stuff. They're really, really good friends. And then something happens where the neighbor has to move. So that means that the neighbor's children has to move too. So now you got to explain to your child that you'll never probably see that person again, because they moved. And think about the emotions that child is going to have, because that child doesn't understand about loss and all of that type of stuff. You know, our inner children, they don't understand that because they're in a place where there's abundance. You know, our inner children, in our soul is abundant. It's just that we have to tap back in to that energy of our inner child so we can start to get that abundance as well. And we can start to feel abundant on the inside. You know, that's what this whole inner child journey is about. So, you know, we ended up having a conversation right before her husband proposed to her, you know, shout out to him. And, you know, we just had a conversation, and she was telling me that, you know, the stuff that you would tell me back in the day, you know, I wasn't listening, but I had to go through some things in order to finally see what you was talking about and stuff like that. And now all the things that you were showing me, now I'm able to do these things with the person that I'm with now, you know, and things are really good. So my inner child, you know, so me on an outward level, I'm like, okay, you know, that's what's up. You know, I'm proud of you. You know, that's good. I'm so glad, you know, I'm happy. But my inner child, you know, my inner child was like, okay, you know, I'm glad that you know, I accept your apology. I'm glad, you know, that you're doing good. So can we go play now? My inner issue was like, so can we go play now? And I had to tell my inner child, like, oh no, that's over. Ain't no more of that. That's over. You know, y'all ain't never doing that again. You know, And my inner child didn't understand what that meant. So now my inner child is feeling like, my inner child is feeling like he just lost a sister. So now I got to go within and do some more shadow work to clear that up. And this is something that I'm seeing when it comes to a lot of unenlightened melanated people. And these are things that prohibits you from pair bonding with your twin flame. So with that being said, since I talked about the soulmate, now I want to talk about the twin flame relationship. So with the twin flame relationship, this is something that's a little different. Now, we all know that when you talk about source, when you talk about source, or when you talk about God, or whatever you want to call, the source, the creator, or whatever, it's a braid, which, represents the divine masculine and the divine feminine in one. And when those little pieces of source starts to break away, these pieces are called individual souls. So with that being said, all of us that came down here, we got a masculine version of us that's a boy, and then there's a feminine version of us out there somewhere that's the opposite sex. And this person comes directly from you. Y'all just got split up, in the spiral before coming to Earth. Y'all got split up. And in a lot of cases, we spend a lot of our lives looking for that person again. And it's like sometimes we have dreams about this person, especially when you're on that stage 2 or that stage 2.5, when you're doing the shadow work and getting to know your inner child is going to tell you about your twin flame. And when it comes to the twin flame, this can be very tricky, because a lot of times, I'm not going to say all the time, because there's no such thing as absolutes when we're talking about spiritual enlightenment. But in a lot of cases, you don't meet your twin flame until you're at a very high level on your spiritual path. What's up, y'all? I hope y'all enjoyed that video, and if you stayed to the end, I appreciate you. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, I want to redirect you to my Instagram page. I don't promote my Instagram page a lot, but as my subscriber count and things like that rise due to things like shadow banning and stuff like that, I'm hearing that a lot of people aren't getting my notifications when I go live on YouTube and stuff like that. So for all things BandClap TV, my Instagram page and my story are going to have all of the notifications and things like that when it comes to when I'm going live, when I'm going, when I'm releasing videos, when I'm releasing content. Also on my Instagram page, if you're curious about my reviews for my readings and stuff like that, as you can see on my Instagram, I have a lot of different testimonials and stuff like that. For those who don't know of me as an artist, I also have videos of me performing and stuff like that. I'll be putting out more stuff like that very, very soon. So I'm just trying to get as many people right now to go ahead and follow me on Instagram. That is BandClap TV. And also my Facebook and Snapchat, BandClap TV as well. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. And like I always say, no matter what, you got to stay shining. You got to stay shining.